Hello, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to Harpin on Rugby, where with the help of some fellow fans, I get the chance to harp on what's going on with Leinster, Ireland, and the wider rugby world. Now, we're coming up on our 16th season as an online entity. This will be our fourth World Cup, but also this is actually the premiere of our fifth season of podcast. And who better to join me than our record cap holder, earning number 58. Welcome back to Mr. Neil Keego Keegan.
How are we? And just, I don't know if you can see here, I'm wearing the forfeit just to show, my big mouth gets me in trouble a lot. And to our Munster brothers and sisters, as we start a new season, look, have I ever looked better is the real question. But no, great to see you. It's been a strange summer. So, let's hope it continues.
To those that just listen on the audio, Keego was wearing the jersey where we have a little prediction league on Super Brew throughout the season amongst our contributors. And starting last year, whoever finishes last has to wear this, we call it a hybrid jersey. It's green and red for two particular teams that let's just say that we might not follow as Leinster fans that we might normally follow other teams, but I had to wear it last season because I finished last, and Keego suffered the same fate. That when I did it, I just could not, week in, week out, could not remember to do my picks. I was like, it'd be Friday morning and I'd be psyched. I'd be like, okay, I'm definitely going to remember them today. Next thing, click, it's Sunday evening and I haven't even done one of them. And Keego got it this year, and fair play to him. He's wearing the jersey. So good on you, man. And I'm sure it feels, you feel it on your skin. Yeah, you want to get rid of it next season. So to remind you to do your picks going forward.
Yes, absolutely. Everyone join the fantasy league and get this thing off me, please.
So now we're going to move on to our main topic of this premiere pod for our fifth season. And it is, of course, what we'll all be talking about for the next couple of months. And that is, of course, the World Cup. And Ireland has 3 warm-up matches coming up over the coming weeks. We play Italy and England at home, and then we play Samoa over in France before the tournament kicks off. So we have our training squad. We have we know that our skipper, Johnny Sexton, isn't going to be involved. So I suppose the overall, we're going to be obviously featuring each match individually throughout the coming weeks. But I suppose the big question is now going into this series of matches, what is Ireland looking for? What positions do we need? What kind of outcome are we looking for from these 3 matches?
Well, the thing that we mentioned earlier on, talking about Sexton, that question has been answered before he even decides on a team, which is a positive. Now, people will say he needs game time or he doesn't need game time or whatever. We'll deal with that in 3 games time. So you're kind of looking at, okay, if we start in the middle, you're kind of looking at, okay, it's the Ross Byrne show, Byrne and Crowley, there we go. And that's with all respect to everybody else, I think they're the 2 guys who are ready to rock and roll. And we've been speaking about Ross Byrne for 100 years, it feels like. And it kind of, certain things had to happen for him to get in the shop window. Couple of great kicks, obviously death taxes, Ross Byrne. I think they're the form players. I think it's the Ross Byrne show. I think everything happens for a reason. I think when you look at the main positions, everybody's fit, I believe. There's great vibes coming out of the squad. I think that when we're talking about the other teams, like South Africa won't evolve. They're not going to change all of a sudden change what they do. Argentina a little bit, New Zealand a little bit with Joe coming in, but Joe may minimize what makes New Zealand great. We are going to evolve multiple times over these 3 games and during the World Cup. Like, there are going to be tricks that are going to be resurrected from last year that are going to be seen again in the World Cup. So that's the fun part. What has Farrell and O'Connell and the guys, what have they been cooking up in the meantime? Because we could keep doing what we were doing, winning series in New Zealand, all that sort of stuff that doesn't happen. But as you say, everybody else is looking at us. Everybody else is trying to figure us out. We have to give them a new bag of tricks, and that starts against Italy. I think the interesting thing is, do you start with your quarterfinal team, or do you build up to your quarterfinal team? So obviously, with Sexton being out, Rosser goes in there. I think we need to get time into Ringrose and Henshaw, because even though they're brilliant, they haven't had a lot of game time in the last 12, 14 months in comparison to the previous whatever, due to injuries and all that sort of stuff. We need that to happen. We just need to, and I think getting that front row, which is the envy of everyone, obviously, but there's still a couple of ghosts in there from La Rochelle that we have to get rid of those, because New Zealand are going to go for it. The Boks are always tough to move around. Italy won't cause massive worry in the front row, so we have to be able to just nullify that straight away. But in terms of, it's a good lineup. Anytime you play England, it's a good time. And I think you start with Ross in one and or Crowley in the other one. And that kind of sets it up perfectly for the two of them. You could almost do the same with the nines as well. You could rotate that and all that sort of stuff while keeping the levels high. But look, it's exciting. It's great to put on the green jersey again. 8 o'clock kickoffs, maybe not a great idea. So if anyone's heading in there, behave yourselves. We know late kickoffs can make you a little bit rowdy. Let's not do that. Make sure there's a lot of carbohydrates in you before you go. But no, it's exciting stuff. Like we've been talking about this for 2 years. Now we're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, definitely. It's fascinating. A few games, because I mean, I don't think if you jumped ahead to this time, like 2 years ago, you wouldn't have imagined the run Ireland would have been on going into that, and the not just the run, but the way they play, the confidence, and the way the squad has played together. And it's just any doubts that we had going down to New Zealand, playing a test series, winning a Grand Slam, doing all those things, going on a winning run, getting to even whatever you think about the rankings, they are number one in the world, all that stuff. Whatever doubts we had, the squad hasn't showed them, and they believe. And we always talk about World Cups getting out of the quarterfinal stages. That's not what this team is talking about at all. They're talking about as going all the way. They have to go into matches not worried about this game or that game, that particular game. They're playing a type of rugby that will get them all the way to that final. And it's, if they're going to believe it, we should as well. It's like, it's not going to be easy. It's a absolute pitch of a draw. It's going to be a tough quarterfinal no matter what happens, but we still have to believe that we're up there with them. It's like, it's not just tough for us, it's tough for them as well. And they're not going to fancy it either. The few things, like you said, the halfbacks is going to have to be meticulously organized over these 3 games and get combinations playing together. Like you say, the schedule for the actual pool in the World Cup as well, it works pretty well for us to start against Romania, then Tonga, who have had some additions to their squad, but we still have to be confident in getting over them. Then, so we have those 2 matches, then it's South Africa, then a week off, and then Scotland. So we can work that into our plan as well as to who's playing. And I doubt Sexton is going to be playing in all those games, and we can manage his involvement as well. But there's a lot to look forward to. But also, of course, as we say every time there's World Cup warm-ups, we're fingers, toes, eyes, everything crossed, no injuries. We want these players getting game time. Robbie Henshaw needs, like you said, Ringrose. There's a lot of players there who need some game time, but fingers crossed and everything. We need them to be ready when the pool match is starting. From a tactics point of view, one thing I'm particularly interested in, at the start of the season last year, we saw Leinster doing these amazing tap and go moves. It was a new set piece, and Leinster were doing these amazing different. There was 3 guys going this way, 3 guys going that way, Dan Sheehan barreling ahead, all these different things. But then it stopped. It stopped when it came to the Six Nations, and we didn't really see. We did do some tap and go, but they were more basic afterwards. So I'm wondering, was that like this extra little playbook that was like tucked in underneath, and will we see that brought out for the World Cup and stuff like that? There's a few interesting developments. I'm wondering how we're going to be approaching this World Cup, like from a tactics point of view, because we've been caught in the past. We've done well in World Cups. We've been done well in the lead up to a World Cup, but by the time it gets there, everyone's ready for us. Everyone's got an Ireland, how to play Ireland playbook. So we've got to vary things up a bit.
No, 100%. I think you know, if you're asking the question, the coaches are asking the question. Like they're kind of going, they're looking at the season, last season in total, and going, okay, there was a lot produced in terms of evolution early half of that season. It's still there somewhere. It shows an appetite for change, an appetite for updating the software, if you like. So we know that's what's going to happen. I think a big victory for people like us who've been heartbroken before is playing England in the second warm-up game and getting a good win over England, because that was where everything fell apart last time. All of a sudden, we went from no one wanted to see a green jersey to that's what England did, and we can do that at least as good as England did it, and then everything fell down. We didn't evolve. Now, unfortunately, Joe's going to learn that lesson and bring that across the way, but I do feel there's a massive amount of evolution coming out of this team. There's going to be an interesting, a bit like Leinster. I think there's going to be a lot of surprising, but in retrospect, not surprising team selections. I think in the South Africa and the Scotland game, we're going to have a couple of selections. I think maybe in and around the second row where we're going to maybe fire a couple of questions at him, where he's going to pick someone who we maybe wouldn't have thought about, and then it's all going to work out. I've no worries about the group games. I think they're going to be managed really well. And you're talking about a bitch of a draw, 100%. But if you want to win it, you got to win it. As my favorite alcoholic wrestler said, to be the man, you got to beat the man. There'll be no questions on this run. But I do feel there's going to be massive evolution. Not, we're not going to show our whole hand in these 3 games, but we're going to show enough where everyone's going to be gone. We know there's more in the tank. We know there's more to come. That's going to worry other teams.